burnt stranger. In 1990, Sam was a young, timid man whose life had been marked by tragedy. Orphaned early, he had no siblings, no friends, and his days were long and silent. It was only a week ago that Sam had found employment as an assistant at a local florist and embalmer shop, a place where the living rarely lingered, but where the dead found their final rest. Sam had grown used to the somber surroundings, or so he thought. It was on the second day of his job that an unforgettable and spine-chilling encounter changed everything. The night was unusually dark, with shadows stretching across the walls like eerie phantoms. A knock at the door of the shop shattered the silence, and in walked three solemn figures carrying a stretcher covered in a stained sheet. Beneath it, the shape of a man's lifeless form was unmistakable. "Evening," one of the men said in a hoarse voice. He avoided Sam's eyes as he spoke. "We need this body prepared by morning." Sam, whose nerves were already frayed, swallowed hard and nodded. He watched as they placed the body on the table, the stretcher creaking under the weight. When they left, a chill swept over the room. Sam was alone now, save for the body beneath the cloth. Hours passed. The clock struck midnight, and the silence thickened until it was suffocating. Sam sat in the creaking chair, the dim light casting flickering shadows across the room. He rubbed his eyes, fighting exhaustion. As he drifted into a troubled sleep, he heard a faint tuck, tuck, tuck. It was as if someone were tapping gently at a window. In his dream, Sam was back in his small, creaky house, lying in bed. Tuck, tuck, tuck. He sat up, straining to hear. The knocking grew louder, and Sam's heart quickened. The room was cold, the air sharp with a metallic scent. He crept to the door, his feet heavy as stone. The knocks persisted. "Who's there?" Sam whispered, his voice barely audible. No answer came, only silence. He gripped the doorknob, hesitating. Another knock, louder and more insistent. This time, it sent a shiver down his spine. With a sudden, reckless burst of courage, Sam threw open the door. Standing there was a man with half of his face burnt, skin melted and twisted like wax. One eye glistened with unnatural life, staring at Sam as if it recognized him. Sam gasped, stumbling backward as the burnt figure reached out, fingers blackened and charred. "Why did you open the door?" it rasped, its voice like crackling flames. Sam's scream pierced the silence of the night. He bolted upright in the chair, sweat pouring down his face. He realized that the moment he had seen so far was a dream. The room was as still as before, but something was different. The cloth that had covered the body was now peeled back to the chest, revealing the burnt man's face, exactly as in Sam's dream. And the eyes, those milky, lifeless eyes, were open, fixed on Sam. The air around him grew cold, colder than anything Sam had ever felt. His body trembled as he stumbled backward, unable to tear his gaze away. A sudden sound cracked through the silence. The corpse's mouth twitched, its lips parting just enough to form one word, spoken in a breathless whisper. "Run." The room exploded into chaos. The lights flickered and the air filled with an electric hum, as if the very air was splitting apart. Sam screamed, lunging for the door, but it slammed shut on its own, trapping him. The burnt man's head turned slightly, the grotesque grin widening as if it fed on Sam's terror. "Save me," Sam cried, his voice a strangled plea. Suddenly, a heavy, thudding sound filled the shop. The chief embalmer's footsteps echoed down the hall, accompanied by his calm whistle. The noise broke the spell, and Sam collapsed to the floor, gasping for air. The corpse's eyes were closed once more, and the room returned to its shadowy stillness. The chief embalmer walked in, eyeing Sam's pale, shaking form with confusion. "Rough night?" he asked, chuckling as if nothing was out of place. Sam couldn't answer, his eyes fixed on the unmoving body. But as the embalmer turned away, Sam saw it. One last flicker in the corpse's eye, a glint that spoke of fire and whispered promises of return.